I'm dedicated to providing you with as much valuable free content as possible to help you to grow and scale your coaching business sustainably. That's why I'm constantly rolling out new resources and events for you. To ensure that this podcast stays fresh with the latest offerings, I've compiled all our current free and paid offerings in one convenient place. Simply head over to www.sofiarosebernardi.com/links or follow me on Instagram at Sofia Rose Bernardi for the latest offerings. Thank you so much for being a part of this community, and let's get back to the episode. Hello and welcome to Rising Coaches with Sofia Bernardi. Today's episode is a special one. I'm interviewing the beautiful Candice Hooper. Candice is also from South Australia, like I am originally from, and she is a mind and heart alchemist. So she is a coach for typically female entrepreneurs, helping them with their emotional blocks, limitations they put in themselves to help them create a life of their wildest dreams. She speaks a lot into manifestation and mindset and money, and she has every healing modality under her belt that you could think of. She is such a passionate, heart-centered woman that just has these incredible skill sets and transformation tools to help you truly release your root cause blocks and challenges so that you can move forwards with so much ease. Candice has helped me even on my journey a little bit. She's been, just such a beautiful sounding board, and she's honestly just the purest, kindest, most loving woman, and I know that you're going to love this episode. I was even asking her for advice in the middle of the episode because she's an avid advocate for taking naps in your business and how that supports you to make more money, and that definitely does not come naturally to me. So we were chatting about that. She gave some amazing golden nuggets on, attracting wealth into your life and creating a life that you truly love, like a life that is your medicine, where you don't need to avoid or suppress or go to external, numbing things to feel better, essentially. When you just create a life that you love to begin with, that is your medicine. And it's those golden nuggets that were just so incredible to listen to. And for those reasons, I know that you'll love this episode. I've linked below her, links and everything so you can connect with her, enjoy the episode, and let me know what you think. Hello, Candice. Welcome to Rising Coaches with Sofia Bernardi.
Thank you for having me, my love. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited as well. I'm going to link below the interview that you did on your podcast with me because it was such a vibe. And I think if anyone likes today's episode, they're definitely going to want to listen to that as well. We had such a beautiful conversation last week and we were just vibing for like an hour straight. We could barely get a breath in. And I have no doubt that today's going to be really similar.
Yeah, it was super, super high intense because we're both manifesting generators, and I don't think we took a breath till the end. But I feel like the energy just feels a bit slower today. I don't know what we were on that episode, but it was fun.
I have no idea. We'll see where it goes. But for people that don't know you yet that are listening to this episode, I would love for you to take a moment to introduce who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Candice. And we were just talking about this before. At the moment, I call myself a mind and heart alchemist, but I'm super multi-passionate, multi-dimensional. So I changed my label a lot, but basically I feel like what I do is really liberate women, and a lot of women in business liberate and unblock and unlock their full potential. I unlock their mindset, their limiting beliefs. I unlock their frequency, and I activate their potential, their, some people call it different things. We can call it their codes, their, depending on what language people use, or their gifts. And just really, I feel like it's a liberation. I take them out of the box, take them out of the cage, and just show them what's possible, what's available for them. And I do that through so many techniques that I have studied, like yourself, NLP and hypnosis. But my journey began with like yoga and body work and vibrational medicine, like flower essences and Ayurveda, and started real wellnessy. And I've kind of gone to the deeper levels for more permanent and deeper transformation.
I love that so much. And yeah, I can hear that you are obviously very passionate about this to have, studied and dove deep into so many different modalities and concepts. So I'm really curious, like, what led you to doing that? Like, what is your journey to where you were to being to be, helping people with these very deep processes? Where did the passion come from?
It would be my own journey. And when I was younger, I had like debilitating anxiety, like super debilitating. Um, throughout my teenage years and early 20s, almost to the point, like it seems hard to believe now, when you've had such a transformation, but I think it's called agoraphobia. So like there was a point where I thought I might not be able to leave my house. Like it was so debilitating. And there was a moment I was like, if I don't do something dramatic, it's like I just knew I'll be living with my parents forever and I won't be able to go anywhere. And so I booked a flight to the other side of the world by myself. I literally cried the entire way. And I found on that journey, I found yoga. I found so many things. And I always say yoga saved my life, like, because yoga for anxiety is just the best medicine. It brought me out of my head, brought me into my body. And so I was a yoga teacher for so long. I used to own a yoga studio, and then I just naturally, in human design, if anyone knows it who's listening, I'm a 1-3. So I'm a truth seeker. I go very deep. So I wanted to go deeper and deeper. And as I worked with clients, I've worked with women for 20 years now. And I still remember this moment in teaching a yoga class. A friend was coming, and this would be like, yeah, almost 20 years ago. And she could never in downward dog. Her knees were always bent. She had so much tension in her hips and her hamstrings. And then I remember she broke up with this really toxic boyfriend, and she came the next week and her legs were straight. And it really just woke something in my mind. I'm like, what is going on here? There is such a deeper thing than just stretching out the muscles. Like there's been some trauma, there's been some holding, there's some resistance, there's something deeper. And I think I still remember that moment. And so I just naturally went deeper. So I'm such a believer in the emotions of the body, the frequency of the body, the beliefs, they all affect the physical body. And I've been on a journey ever since, just studying everything I could get my hands onto. And the beauty, like yourself, of having clients, I think, is I've got to experiment with them like for 20 years. So I take my information, I experiment not only on myself, but on my clients. And, from physical healings to, crazy business, expansions and wealth, and to just women just feeling better, like feeling whole and happy when before they were anxious and worried. Like, so it's been a beautiful journey. But yeah, I think my own debilitating anxiety really catapulted probably my search for wholeness and health and joy, really.
Wow, the feeling of anxiety is very, very uncomfortable. It's a very dysregulating feeling. And so I don't see any inch of anxiety within your energy and presence now. You seem so grounded and regulated. In fact, we were talking about that off air just before. Like, I really feel like you are such a grounded human being. And so that kind of goes to show like how far you must have come, because I didn't know you then, for to
Mm.
having like anxiety about leaving the house to now being this free spirit that just helps people and gives and does things and is everywhere and all of the things. I think, and shows up online and has a podcast. And yeah, that really just shows that with the right tools and with the right support and the right determination and, action taking, and that you can really turn anything around and transform your whole life.
Yeah, 100%. And like I remember teaching a yoga class, probably would have been 5 years into my teaching, and I taught, it was to 100 or 200 people, and I was out the front, and I remember just being like, holy shit, like I couldn't even talk to 1 or 2 people, like I was so nervous to talk and so unsure of myself in my teenage years, and hence like a lot of people in those years, so I turned to drugs and alcohol to and so my reason for drinking and doing drugs was to lubricate myself to be comfortable around people and not be nervous around people. So to then, like you said, being online and sharing without fear or anxiety is sometimes I have to stop and kind of see like it's just become so normal, right? Like I think when you do the transformation in the beginning, it's like, holy shit, but then you're just like, oh, this is just who I am now. And I think I can really hold compassion for people who do feel anxiety. Like anxiety is, I did body work for so many years, and that box would be ticked like by every single person almost. It's a universal collective suffering we all hold. And it can be really debilitating, right? It stops us moving forward, stops us speaking our truth, stops us doing so many things we desire to do. But I think like what you and me were talking about before, like it's part of the process. I think the big process, if anyone's listening that's got anxiety, it's learning to be safe, feeling safe to hold emotion. We're all scared to feel certain feelings, but it's when we feel them and know that we're not going to die, or there's so many layers of what we fear about feeling our feelings. But for me, anxiety really is a distrust in the flow of life. It's a distrust in the future. And really when I unpacked that, and anchored deeper into my truths, this is what I guess my work is and how I work with women. It's when we anchor into our deepest truths, anxiety just kind of falls away, just kind of like drugs and alcohol fell away for me. As the anxiety fell away, I didn't have to try to stop drinking or partying. As I became more confident in myself, that just naturally fell away. It's when we anchor into our deeper truths of, for me, it's love, joy, abundance, worthiness, which are the deeper truths of everyone. Even if people are listening and they're like, that's not my truth, it's like, that is your truth. It's just covered with the fear and the illusions. Those other feelings fall away. So my anxiety kind of falls away. And when I feel like, don't get me wrong, I still feel I'm human. I feel these emotions, fear, doubt, all of that. But when I'm in them and I'm aware, I'm like, I'm not in my truth. Like fear, from what I've learned, I've studied so many things and on myself, it's an illusion. It's based on things that aren't real. And so returning to truth eliminates, or it doesn't eliminate, it softens and releases those emotions that stop us and hold us back, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. And, thank you for sharing that. For one, you still feel those other emotions, because I think there are definitely some listeners that are probably a bit all or nothing of like, wait, so I'm not supposed to have any of these emotions, when actually it's about learning how to love those emotions and process them and move through them and see what's coming up that's making you not in your truth right now, or what's coming up that's made these emotions arise, and how to move through them. So I think that's really validating, but it's also amazing just to see, through these tools that you now teach, but that you had learned, how it can create such a transformation. So I'd love to hear, you said you spoke on stage to hundreds of people, but I'd also love to hear like what else is like, what does your reality look like now on the other side of having done all of this inner work and manifestation? What are some of like the big and cool results or experiences or even feelings, both personally and professionally, that have come up to give people an idea of like kind of what's possible when they do this work?
Well, as you said, then like probably like the peace I feel in being who I am. Like there's no, and it's always a journey, right? We're always gonna uncover deeper levels. But like I'm really comfortable in myself, which when I was in that height of anxiety and stuff, there was no comfort in who I was. I think as a teenager, it's such a tricky time. Who am I? What am I doing? Where do I fit? It's like, I want to just fit in, all of that stuff. So fast forward 20 years, like I'm so comfortable in my skin. And, I hated my physical body as well. There was like a lot of women, there was so much shame and all of that around my physical body. Whereas now, that's left, that's not there. So this feeling of peace, groundedness, I feel like I can express myself really fully and completely without fear of judgment. And as I'm saying that, sometimes that comes up, right? But I walk with it. I'm okay with it. I felt it before and I know I'm going to survive. So it doesn't stop me. And then, like you said, I feel it and it just dissipates. And then, I've been blessed. We live one street back from the beach. So my physical reality, I have a beautiful husband. I have two beautiful kids, and something else, like I had endometriosis during that time, and I was told that I wouldn't have kids either. So that's been a journey for me as well. And I'm really into the subconscious mind and physical healing. So that was a journey that I went on, which was really beautiful as well. And so two beautiful boys. I work from home, which allows me to work like you from anywhere in the world, which is, for me, travel such a big thing. So me and my family, we love to travel. And I support women to go on this journey too, like they're brave. The women who walk with me are freaking brave, because it can be scary to go within. But what I always say, anyone thinking about, the inner work, is the fears on the outside. We think, for me anyway, I used to think the fears on the inside, right? Because I was full of fear. And so I'd be scared to go within. But what I realized is the fear's on the surface, and there is really only love within. So once you move through the fear, that layer on the surface, like who you are is love. And it's a beautiful journey. And I feel so honored to walk so many women now in the last 20 years, like on that path. It's really like a path home. I call it remembering. So it's not that you have to change and become someone you're not. It's you have to remember who you are, and we are all capable, of whatever we desire. That I am, very big into manifestation, and I feel like our desires were given to us to realize. So, and remembering who you really are: love, joy, abundance, capable, worthy. When we remember and anchor into that, we can achieve anything. So, my business is, ever since I've really too, like, I've been on this journey. So I uncovered, the peace and all of this stuff. But then unlocking money, I only unlocked money probably about 2 or 3 years ago. I had the worst money beliefs like probably anyone on the planet could have. Like, I used to walk around saying I hated money, and I didn't want money, and money just meant sacrifices that I was unwilling to make. And so when I dove into my money blocks, like literally I went from earning what I used to earn in a year to earning in a week. And that was just like, for me, it was just like, oh my God, like it's all within. It's all within. And from that brings trust too, right? I feel like more deeper trust, because I will still worry about money sometimes, right? It still comes up, like you're a human. And then I just have to be like, that's not my truth. Like, and I've got lived experience now from myself and from clients like yourself, and you can lean on that lived experience and be like, I create my reality. I just have to look at something that's going on within, make a few shifts, and the money always comes.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. I really want to dive deeper into that money shift that you have, because a lot of the listeners here are service-based businesses in the earlier stages where there are money blogs or, mindset, negative mindset towards money, or just struggling to sign clients and things like that. And I know you have some really cool experiences yourself on how really large lump sums of money have appeared into your life and your clients' lives. And so walk me through what that journey would look like. If I wanted to go to my next level in income, I'm assuming it doesn't really matter what the gap is, like whether someone's starting at zero and wants to go to 10K, or if someone, is at 100K and wants to go to 150, like what does it look like to shift your relationship with money?
Yeah, so it would look like all levels, right? Like, what are you saying about money? Or even you could start with looking at your childhood with money, right? I loved one of my teachers. She always says, if you grew up, say you're wanting, let's just use $100,000 months. It seems to be something coaches aspire to. And I want to talk about that too, because even that can be a limitation, right? So it can work in different ways depending on where we're at. But say $100,000 months, if you grew up and that wasn't your reality, you didn't experience that, then you're not going to have the programs within your mind to create that. So it's just, I feel like I love radical honesty, because it's like when you see that, you're like, oh, okay, I don't have the programs within my subconscious mind to create the $100,000 months. So we just need to then bring them in. And one of the beautiful ways, which I think why your community would work so well, is surrounding yourself with people who do it, right? Because the subconscious mind loves to see what's possible. So you just start to see it. And that was probably a big thing for me too, working with clients who would smash huge money goals. That was unlocking me at the simultaneously, right? When my clients have big breakthroughs, I simultaneously have a big breakthrough as well. So yeah, looking at money and I get my clients to, there's a few different processes, NLP processes. I love timeline to go back and really just unlock and look at money. And yeah, look at your childhood, look at what's around you. But then there's, just the really little shifts, like notice how you speak about money. Notice what you think about money. Notice how you feel when you go to pay a bill, when you go to give money. Notice when there's resistance to giving, because that generally feels like there's not enough, so I can't give anymore. So noticing, and it doesn't matter what's in your bank account. Like you could have $10 in your bank account, and your frequency in your mind can be very different. And that's probably the most, people say the universe tests you. I don't believe that. I feel like it's constantly giving you opportunities. So when there is little money in your bank account, how can that be an opportunity to anchor into your deeper truths? Like the universe is abundant. You just have to look at nature. It's abundant. It is abundant, and you are part of the universe. And it's like tapping into that and remembering. And it takes a bit of work, right? It takes dedication not to join the conversation where everyone's saying everything's so expensive, I can't afford anything. It takes effort not to join that conversation, not to open your mouth. And when you first start doing that, it can be really uncomfortable.
Because even if you are like, I find this, like I have a very abundant mindset with money, but if you just happen to be in a, different group of people that you're not normally with, and they start, having these really subtle thoughts of like, gosh, groceries are expensive now, or this and that, it is really hard. It's actually easier to just be like, yeah, I totally agree. And I'm sure even just saying that very subtly to just like be in the conversation, even if like consciously you're like, yeah, I don't think it's expensive, but I'm just going to say that to fit in here. I'm sure it still affects you, right? Just like saying it out loud of like, yeah, it is expensive.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So it's like and it feels like you said, you want to belong, you want to join the conversation, you don't want to be different. And the first way I started using this was when I started to heal my relationship with my body, because, you get in a group of women, everyone just starts to bitch and moan about their bodies. And so my decision for myself as I started to heal my relationship with my body is like, I just will never join those conversations. Sometimes I slip up, I'm human, but I just sit there. And I remember one time I was in a group and they said, let's go around the circle and say everything we hate about our bodies. And I was just like, what the, like it's just so, this is what women do, right? Women do this stuff. They talk about it all the time. And it got to me and I was just like, oh, I don't have anything. And, that was wildly uncomfortable for me to say. That was wildly, like, I'm not a size 8 or a size 10. I'm like a 14 to 16 sometimes. And it was like, I could say a lot of things, but I'm like, I've made a decision that I just don't talk badly about my body. And it's really interesting now. I don't really conversations, but if you're struggling with lack, if you're struggling with money, like get serious and stop talking lack. Stop talking lack, stop speaking lack into the universe. And that does take it takes consciousness, it takes awareness in the moment. And if you slip up too, it's not that, beating yourself up. It's just like, that was an opportunity I missed, and I can see now, being compassionate to yourself that I could have like stopped speaking then. So there's so much that you can it's doing the work, but with that beautiful loving awareness and compassion towards yourself as you're still a human.
I see it all the time. Like, I'm dedicated to providing you with as much valuable free content as possible to help you to grow and scale your coaching business sustainably. That's why I'm constantly rolling out new resources and events for you. To ensure that this podcast stays fresh with the latest offerings, I've compiled all our current free and paid offerings in one convenient place. Simply head over to www.sofiarosebernardi.com/links or follow me on Instagram at Sofia Rose Bernardi for the latest offerings. Thank you so much for being a part of this community, and let's get back to the episode.
He's still a human.
I see it all the time. Like I'll see, like, even I might be in a conversation with someone that, you know, is looking at working with me or in, you know, situations of the sorts. And sometimes I'll come across people that might say, like, you know, I really loved, you know, your masterclass you just did, or I really love your podcast and I'd love to work with you, but I just can't afford it. And I always, like, I'm a very transparent person. The pricing's on my website, but like it happened the other day, like the way this person articulated it, she sort of articulated it in a way where she's like, she was assuming she can't afford it. She didn't actually know. And I held her to her highest. And I was just curious, really. And I was like, I'm really curious, like, do you know that you can't afford it, or do you think that you can't afford it? Because I have different programs to be quite inclusive of different stages of business. And she's like, that really made me laugh. I'm assuming I can't afford you. And I just found that so fascinating. And I had this exact conversation with her. I was very transparent with her from such a loving place, because I remember what it's like to be in that scarcity mindset where you just tell yourself these stories, right? And I really wanted to serve her in this moment. I just said, you know, you just blocked yourself off a really incredible opportunity, because if you ask, you'll receive. Like, I have a program for your exact stage of business. Has the most supportive and inclusive payment plans. And yes, you may not actually be able to afford it, but you'll never know if you don't ask, because really, like, what she had decided there was like, I can't grow, I can't expand, I can't change because of my current situation. She wasn't willing to look open, and we ended up having a really beautiful conversation. And actually now she's probably going to join my program. Like, now she's like, actually, I do have a way I think I could source this income by, you know, this conversation with her bank or something. And whether she does or whether she doesn't, it doesn't matter. But the point is that I'm really sharing here is that people don't even realize all the ways they're blocking themselves from abundance
100%.
and receiving because of the stories they're telling themselves. And when we had a proper conversation, we had rapport and there was trust built, all of a sudden she's now thinking differently and can see the opportunities. And I really just wanted to share that based on what you had shared, because some people listening probably right now, you have so many opportunities and resources in front of you to grow and expand and create wealth. But if you tell yourself you can't, and you might not even realize you're doing it, like this lovely lady didn't, then that is exactly why you are where you are financially and probably emotionally too.
Yeah, 100%. It's always us blocking.
Yeah.
Like, we can think that it's the outer world. Like, I don't have opportunities. There's no opportunities for me. You know, I don't have enough. There's not enough money in my bank, whatever it is. But we're creating that. And I think once you flip that, like, sometimes it can be scary when you first take responsibility. Like, because the spiritual, you know, there's a spiritual equation. Our inner world reflects our outer world. Or our outer world reflects our inner world. So in order for us to see abundance, we have to be abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do have to drop a lot of those stories, like, and it is painful because it's almost like we get addicted to them. Like, you know, especially victim mindsets. If you're in a victim mindset, it can be uncomfortable to then step into self-responsibility, because sometimes we lose stuff too. Like, we lose things. Like, I've got a friend at the moment, it's really interesting. She's doing carers work on NDIS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very uncomfortable for her because she does have this healing nature about her, but she's like, no one wants to heal, because if they heal, they're out of that system. They have to stand on their own 2 feet, and they have to then, they're financially supported in that system. So beautiful system, you know, supports those who need it. But from a subconscious point of view, it's like, for them to grow and expand, they have to step out of that system, and that can be really scary. So it's the same of anything. Like, if we're going around speaking lack and our parents always come in with a handout, right? Lots of us can have that. So then they limit their growth. They block their growth because I'm scared to lose that handout from my parents or whatever. It can look different ways. I'm scared to lose that handout from the government. And so we block. But yeah, if anyone's listening, and it can be a hard pill to swallow, but abundance is always there. It's whether you tune into it and align with it and allow it to come in or not. And our stories play such a huge role in whether that door's open or closed.
That's so true around it is uncomfortable to grow. Like growth does not happen in your comfort zone, and growth is can be looked at as, both internally and externally, but even like growing your income, like that's not a comfortable journey to do that. It can get easier, but only because you get better. But that doesn't mean it's comfortable. And I suppose like even going back to that example that I gave, the comfortable answer was for her, I can't afford it, because that doesn't require you to do anything. That you just
100%.
stay exactly the way you are, even if that's not where you want to be, it's still more comfortable. And that's why, you see a smaller percentage of people living a quote unquote above average life, or, earning above the average. It's because like that is harder. Like choose your heart, obviously, but like it requires a lot of effort to step out of the narrative of the average in society, I suppose.
And step out of that narrative of who you think you are, right? Like
Yeah.
this is who I am, this is who my parents were, this is who my friends are. Like it's this, yeah, it's and life really is, right? Life really is the stories that we tell. And so it's like, yeah, choose your stories,
Mm.
choose your story. Take the pen, be the author. So many of us are on default, right? Like just how we grew up, the subconscious mind, it's so impressioned and influence. So it's like take your pen and start to write your story of what you desire and start to believe it's possible. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I love how we have infinite possibilities at any time. Like that's just quantum science. Most of us are like, anxiety is when we like zoom in on just one, and it's generally a negative one. And again, that's coming back to the truth. That's what helps me with anxiety as well. Is like when I'm focused on one negative outcome and feeling anxious and worried, I'm like, oh, I forgot my truth, that there's infinite possibilities available to me. And I just need to broaden my focus, tune my energy a bit more, do my meditations. Maybe I haven't been meditating, maybe I haven't been journaling, whatever it is for anyone. Walking on the beach, everyone's got a different medicine. And then I open back up to possibility, because we all have infinite possibilities, and it's our choice whether we choose them or not.
I love that. I love that you've kind of got that narrative with yourself of like your truth is actually, you know, positive and uplifting and like the highest of vibrations. And so whenever you find yourself not in that state, you're really sort of having that story with yourself that like this is not the norm. And that's what I can imagine, that's what keeps you out of that being like your pattern of like you're just a quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote negative person or whatever. It's because you have this narrative that that's actually not your truth, and therefore it's not. I love that.
And it's actually no one's truth. Like I've
Yeah.
worked with so many women, and I've delved to the depths um, of what, we can go as really deep, but like it's no one's truth. No one's born a negative person. Like this baby doesn't come out just like hating the world, like it's who we surround ourselves with, it's society. So like I was talking to my husband about this morning, and it's like it is a challenge to not be an anxious person in this world, because marketing is geared to lack and to fear. So we're surrounded by it 24/7. They're always telling us all these different things about what interest rates going up, blah, 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 blah. There's always something. There's wars. There's always something. It's just total fear. And so to choose to walk a different path is a challenge, because people do look at you weirdly. Like I'm sure many people look at me weirdly, like when I'm just like happy when shit's hitting the fan around me. I just choose not to look at it, because I understand it's an illusion. I understand fear is an illusion, and it's all created from the mind, basically. So having those truths, and that's what I walk my women through that I work with, is I teach the truths that I have come to learn on a deep spiritual level. And but we can't just, words don't teach, only lived experience teaches. So then they go on their own journey. So when I work with women, it's for quite a long period of time, because they have to walk it, they have to experience it, they have to, in the moment, I've got a choice. I can walk forward in this moment in love or fear. Basically, they're the main two choices we have. And, if you've always walked in fear, I'm not enough, there's not enough, time, money, resources, whatever it is, taking a step forwards in love, I am enough, there is enough, is very different. It's like a wildly different experience when you start to walk the path of love and I am love, to walking the path of fear. And watching my women is just like the greatest honor, because crazy shit just happens when they start to step forwards in love and the truth. And it's uncomfortable. I always say my clients are like baby giraffes. So if you go on this journey, you're a baby giraffe. So like walking on legs of fear, once you start to walk in legs of love, like you're wobbly like a baby giraffe. You're going to fall down and you're going to like make mistakes and you're going to choose fear sometimes, but they get stronger and stronger until, like for myself, it's hard to, I'm really aware when I'm making a decision from love. I'm really aware when I'm making a choice from fear. I'm really aware of the root of where my decisions, my actions, my thoughts, my beliefs come from.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. I'm really curious. Like, let's just say for whatever reason you go into this pattern of anxiousness or fear or doubt due to something, or even if it's a client, like what's the process that you would go through to shift that and move out of that? Do you have a particular ritual or process?
It's quite intuitive. And because there's so many nuances, to everyone. But just thinking about the programs that I run, we spend a whole month on fear to love. And I use timeline to go back and understand fear, mainly to understand what fear is. This is where I've learned lots of my truths, that fear is an illusion. That fear is, for me, what I've learned about fear is there's what came to me, and it's not the correct words, but this is what came to me. It was like necessary and unnecessary. So if I was in war and I'm in battle, fear is kind of necessary, right? It makes me,
Totally.
yeah.
Thank
But
you.
when I'm just looking at my bank account and I'm feeling super stressed and anxious, it's not necessary. It's not real. That's where it's an illusion. So I take people back to look at fear and learn their own truths around it. And something I love, which probably you've experienced because you do this work with your clients too, is, I've never taken anyone back or deep into the subconscious and it's never not been love. Like it's never have I taken anyone back and their subconscious gone, oh yeah, actually you're a piece of shit. And
Yeah.
like it's never happened. I've taken so many women back into their depths of their truth. It's always love. So and awareness, like the power of being present, like it's a real big one, because then you're aware. If you're not present, you're just kind of caught in your mind and you're caught in anxious, and you just take anxiousness wherever you go. And you stop and you breathe and then you acknowledge, oh, I'm feeling this. And then you can either like move your body and shift the energy, or you can get curious, like why. And sometimes when my anxiety comes, I was like, oh, it's because I haven't been meditating. Like meditating for me is my medicine. I teach women to
Finding you of
create.
your truth. Yeah.
Exactly, and quietening my mind. And I teach women to create what I call medicinal lives, where, people will lead this intense life, super busy, super stressed, so much going on, saying yes to everyone, burning the bridge at each end. And then they're like, "Oh, why am I anxious? Okay, I'll pop a pill or a supplement.
Mhm.
Or why am I exhausted? I need blood tests." I'm like, look at your life. Like, right. So instead of
So
being able
true.
to just pop a supplement in the morning and thinking that will sustain this crazy hectic life, I'm like, okay, what if your life became medicine? So what if the activities you do were medicinal? What if the people you hung around with were medicinal? What if the food you ate was medicinal? What if the work you do, big one for you, right? What if your work was medicinal? So if everything in your life is medicine,
I've never heard of it
you
like that. I love that. That is such a good way to
Mm.
look at it. It's like, what if you created a life of this, like, yeah, medicine, like this, you know,
Yes,
um,
most people, it's poison. They live a life full of poison and then they wonder why they're tired and they wonder why they're stressed and they're anxious. It's like, look around. And this is this radical responsibility. So it can be a lot to take radical ownership of your life. But then you just slowly, and I support the women, it's these slow medicines. I teach rest a lot because you probably get a lot of people like, I'm so exhausted. And it's so funny, they're like, go to the doctors. And it actually is humorous to me because I would just be like, have you tried having a nap? And they're like, no, like what? I couldn't. And then the guilt comes up and then the shame comes up and all this stuff that needs to be processed. And a lot of women, when I do this work, actually, when we're peeling off the layers, what I notice, they sleep a lot because women, they have this rushing women syndrome and they are so exhausted that when they finally feel worthy to stop and rest and feel like the world's not going to collapse, their family's not going to collapse, their businesses aren't going to collapse, they could sleep for a long time. Like they could be napping all day. And I always just remind them this isn't forever. Your body's been craving you to sit down and close your eyes for like sometimes 20 years. And so when they do the body, and then once the body's, been rested, you don't have to rest as much. But if you catch in the early signs, like I will often rest when I feel tired because that is the antidote to
so
tiredness. It's so
fascinating.
funny.
Like, you talk about naps a lot, and I think I
I
remember you
do.
something along the lines of like, the more naps you take, the more money you make, or something like that.
100%. Yeah. 100. This is what I see with my clients. 100%.
But I would love your advice then, because that's so not something that comes naturally to me. Like, napping is
Mhm.
like, I don't know how to even do that. So how do you actually surrender and
To
take a nap
that.
and not have the guilt feel like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, literally walk me through how I should do that.
Well, there's a few things there, right? It's like, can you, like we were just talking about fear, can you walk with fear? Yes, you can. You do it in your business all the time, right? And I know that you up level all the time. Can you take a nap with guilt? It's like it's a similar vibration. Like in the beginning, you will feel guilty. Sometimes I still feel guilty. Sometimes I still fight it. There's something in us that sometimes if we feel like we're going to stop, we'll never get up and we'll never take action again. And the more we fight it, the more tired we get. So like just letting yourself, and for some of us, like I always use the word nap, but for some of us, it's just resting, right? And in the beginning, resting might look like just laying down, listening to a medi or reading a book or going for a walk on the beach. Like, so resting can look different for everyone. Having a sauna and not taking your phone into the sauna, something like that. So I would just start with that and then just get curious again. Why am I feeling guilty? So if whatever comes up, why am I feeling this? Oh, that's right. My mum never ever sat down. So this is my mum constantly doing it all the time. She never ever sat down. So for me to rest, I had to go through this whole thing of I am a lazy piece of crap, like if I sit down. And I find it really hard if my husband's around because he's such a doer. I find it hard to rest, but I move through that because I feel like he's judging me, but I still honor myself and where I'm at. And I will rest holding his perceived judgment, holding maybe this guilt. But I've learned that if I don't, your body it whispers first and then it screams. I would rather just listen to the whispers. But the reason I want to talk about and frequency with napping, what I see with connected to money is it's manifestation. So, if I call this done energy. So if you desire something, the way to attract it really quickly and effortlessly is just to get into the frequency that it's done. And I always ask, if it was done, how would you feel? You just answer that. If your dream was just done, it's taken care of, it
Relax.
is done, what would you do?
You'd relax, yeah. There'd
You'd
be nothing left.
relax.
There'd be nothing left to do because it's done.
Exactly. You'd kick on the couch and read a book or binge Netflix or whatever it is.
So true.
So that's how you fast track your manifestations. I swear to God, the women I work with, they would send me photos of them in the bath, waking up from afternoon naps with like texts of like whatever's going into their bank accounts. Because then you're on the frequency, the universe is like, oh, she gets it. She trusts. she knows it's done, because we attract by how we feel. We don't attract by, necessarily just what we think. It's how we feel. So, it just takes a lot of pressure off. And then, so yeah, when I think women, if they're really highly ambitious, once you really get this concept of rest and relaxation, that it actually fast tracks your desires coming in, you probably do it more. Like you
Yeah,
give
because
yourself
I
permission
would
to do it
I
more.
would classify myself as like a high performing, ambitious action taker, and I thrive
Yeah.
off of it. But I also that there's everyone's got a limit, and I know that that's not the way. And I know
Mhm.
that as you enter different seasons of your life, like I'm looking forward to having children in a few years, whatever else. I know
Yes.
that it's not going to keep going this way. So learning how to rest and surrender is going to be really, really important. But I do feel that resistance. I'm like, yeah, I really feel the resistance, but I'm going to challenge
I
myself.
think you're good too, though. I feel like you're good. Like, I see photos of you out to lunch and going
Yeah.
to, like, so they are things that I
Yeah, I
would,
think I was taking the word nap very literally because I definitely
yes,
I definitely have off time, like pretty much like you are my only commitment today. There is nothing else on for my entire day. So,
yes,
and I could choose, I suppose I could choose to fill that up with work, and I definitely will be doing some work, but I barely even call it work because I enjoy it. But it will also be
yes,
filled with catching up with friends and spending time with my grandparents. And I probably will lie down after this podcast session because
yes,
I just had a breathwork session before this. I
exactly.
probably need to lie down. So I
Yeah.
suppose I do rest, and when I go to the gym, there is a sauna, and I don't bring my phone in there, and I will swim in the pool, and I'm so present, and I love it, and I'll go on the cold plunge. So I suppose I'm doing things that are relaxing or good for me or off work, but to actually physically take a nap or not be multitasking, I suppose, is what I find difficult.
Yes.
So I could be in the sauna, but I'll be thinking about work. I won't
Yeah.
just be sitting there peacefully. And even
Maybe
some,
you could
yeah,
just bring in the question. Um, it's a real simple question, but I find it really powerful. Like, if I truly believed it was done, how would I feel and what would I do right now? Because we only have right now. People are like, I'll do it tomorrow. So it'd be a really beautiful question to bring the frequency into your body. And people say everything needs action, but I find rest is an action. Rest is an action, and it symbolizes so much of the universe. Symbolizes trust, big trust. So that could be a question you could bring in, and then you can see maybe it'd be like, yeah, I would go out with my friends, what I'm doing right now. Or actually be like, actually, I would just hop in the bath and go to bed at like 7:30 tonight. So it brings just a bit of clarity as to, am I doing something because I think I need to be in control of the how and doing it? Or do my soul actually just want to sit down and just be for a bit?
yeah. I'm gonna report back to you. I'm gonna
Yes, do.
step into more rest because I know it's so, so important. So important.
Have you got a number 4 in your human design? What number are you
I
again?
sure do. I'm a 2/4.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, I feel like, because relationships and people are really important to you.
They're my everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for you, resting could be, I really feel like for you, just think that resting is hanging out with people. Like that is for you, that is
I feel that.
medicine.
I feel that.
Mm,
Yeah, because
yeah. And
I'm
that's,
not working then, obviously. I'm super present.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
exactly.
my
So I
number one
think
value. Yeah.
yeah, so there you go. So I think, for you even changing it, you do rest, you prioritize it a lot, and it is medicine, and you relax when you're around other people.
Mm.
Whereas I'm a single definition, I'm different. I do need that space by myself. Um, and that's where I rest, and that's really medicinal to me.
I love that. This has been such a powerful conversation, just speaking into how you feel about yourself and about life and about whatever it is you're moving towards. Will say everything about and will dictate everything about the outcome and your experience. And it just goes to show how important what you do is because you're really addressing the root cause. Like you can talk about the strategies and the
Mm.
steps and the actions and to do, but really it comes down to so much deeper than that of like, you could give someone all these money affirmations, but if their core beliefs is money is shit and I'm going to lose all of my loved ones if I create more
Yeah.
money, then it just doesn't really matter. And so I really just wanted to acknowledge you here, that what you do is so powerful, and and you already know this, but you've played a role in how I feel and who I am as well. And yeah, just thank you, because I just love people that genuinely care. They're super educated, they're super passionate. They just lean in and serve and support, and there's so you can just feel the safety, the detachment, the care factor all at once, and it's really felt by you, and it's very beautiful.
Oh, thanks. That's beautiful words. Beautiful words. Yeah, I love it because I can see the potential in everyone as you can. I know that you can see that too. And it's that liberating them and then but with their power inside of them, right? It's not like they become powerless in the liberation. They like take their power and they just fly. And yeah, matching the inner work with some outer, structure and strategy. That's when you just go like unstoppable, like unstoppable. If you have a desire, like anyone listening, if they've got the desire for impact, if they've got the desire for wealth, it's not a dirty thing to want wealth. You're a woman, and if you're listening to this podcast, I know that you're a good human. Like, wealth in your hands is going to be better for the planet. If you've got that desire for me, my desires always come back to being able to spend time with my family and experience life in this world with them. It's like that's in us for a reason. It's in us to be realized, and all we have to do is line up with it. Let it in, let go of the stories that tell us there's something wrong with us, that we're not enough, that it's not for us, and just step on that. As I said, if you take anything, just take two paths, step forwards with love. Like that lady you were talking to, she stepped forward with love and trust.
Mm.
It's a wildly different journey ahead of her than if she stays in that lack and no. So and money always comes, right? You've probably experienced this too, just quickly. That's like the women sign up with me, some of them are like, I don't know where the money's coming from, and literally they get a check like the next day for like a tax return that was coming. You'd have the same thing. Like it always comes. You take a step, universe has got your back.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel that, I experience that, and it's just I really just believe, almost no matter the circumstances, if there's a will, there's a way. Like if you open yourself up to it, you find a way. And I just have evidence from so many people, but also even my own journey. Like
Yes.
like even just 4 years ago, I was like it was not that long ago. I was working, a few casual jobs, $20 an hour. I didn't really believe in myself or think I was really going to ever amount to anything, or I thought I was just going to work these casual jobs for the rest of my life, and all of these sorts of things. And like my world is so different now, and to me that's just, and I had all sorts of challenges like in my teen life and all of that sort of stuff with my family. And, I just think that if I can overcome those things that I really, truly at the depths of me thought I could not overcome, then I just believe anyone can. And I have so much evidence
100%.
from other people I know in far worse situations than me that have also overcome that and moved through that. And so for me, I'm like, if there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. And you've done that work, right? Like, I know you're super brave and you aren't afraid to go in and do the inner work, which is why you're where you are, because you've looked at that all, you've had the desire to transform them, and that's all we need, that desire. Like even just asking the universe, right? I want this is what I want to make an impact, and then just put it out in the world and just sit back, have a nap and see, and let the answers come, because they always come, always.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. I 100% agree. Is there anything you feel from this conversation that's been left unsaid, or any final notes that you kind of want to share with anyone that might need it today?
No, I think there's a lot of juicy nuggets in there. I wouldn't mind
It
listening
really is.
back to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's something that I've been sharing with my community at the moment too, is like so many of us, we make ourselves wrong. And again, it's that story. Who whoever's listening, like they are enough. And I know you spoke about this on your journey. You always thought that there was something missing, someone knew something, but it's not the truth. It's like you are enough, and you have specific gifts and specific codes and specific ways in which you talk or you do things that are just going to really activate who you're here to work with. So it's like really stop making yourself wrong. For me, I've always been a talker, and I used to think I annoyed people. So I would that's where my anxiety came from, like not talking, people annoyed by me. But it's actually my gift. And the more I step into it, like expressing myself, expressing truth. I used to trigger a lot of people, right, with my truths, because it's uncomfortable sometimes to hear truth. But the more I've owned that as a gift, so just anyone listening, it's like, stop making yourself wrong. Sometimes what you perceive as your weaknesses are actually your superpowers, and that starts to integrate into wholeness, and then you can really show up completely embodied to support the people that you're here to support, because they can't access the help if you're hiding behind your fears and your doubts and your worries. You got to shine your light bright. The people come, and they come quickly once you do this work.
100%. I fully agree. Amazing. Where can people find you, Candice, if they want to learn more about you, they want to work with you, they want to be in your world? What does that look like? Tell us all the things and we'll link it.
Probably even just, I hang out the most on Instagram. I have a Facebook group, but I don't use it. And I've got a podcast. So which because you were on it, which was awesome. That's new, but I love, as I just said, talking comes really naturally to me. So I drop them all the time because I have so much to say. So drop in there, and then I'm launching a new set of programs next month. If you're listening to this live, and it's like a deep walking. I call them the shift, because you make the shift from everything I said, from fear to love, from lack to abundance. We go on an embodied journey. So that's how I'm working with women at the moment. But yeah, come say hi on Instagram. I hang out there.
Amazing. I will link below your Instagram and your podcast, and so people can get in touch with you. And I love that concept of how you structure your program, by the way, because it's really just like diving deep, and it just makes so much sense based on your beliefs and your experience as well. So amazing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really,
thanks for having me. I love the chat.
Yeah, so good. I'm going to listen back to this as well, and there was lots of golden nuggets in it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, enjoy your relaxed afternoon, my love.
Will do. If you thoroughly enjoyed this episode, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Your support fuels our mission to bring you even more valuable content every week. It truly means the world to me. My promise to you is that if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, I'll continue making incredible episodes such as this every week to help you to grow and scale your coaching business. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.